All right, so we got that going. All right, good morning, everybody. Ryan Sanders here with Project Fresh. How you guys doing? It's our regular Monday broadcast. Today, our topic is the little things do count. The little things do count. This is our weekly broadcast where we talk about different aspects of health. Sometimes it can be spurred on by maybe different things I see from physicians that I follow online, which will be the motivator for today's topic. It can come on with a specific focus related to um, maybe something that I've had a conversation with a client related to something health wise with clients through the past week. It can be requested by anyone who watches or follows us. There's a lot of different things that effectively can spur on a topic, for the topic of the day. Long story short, today we're going to be talking about the little things. The little things definitely count or do count. And so, a lot of times, what we'll talk about, Project Fresh is effectively fitness, recreation, education, sanctity, and health. I knew that when I was back in corporate America in my 20s, working 50, 60, and sometimes even 70 hours a week as a project manager in construction, that although my fitness and nutrition improved, I learned a lot in my early 20s on how to eat, how to exercise, how to move, and how to do that consistently. I got in the best shape of my life. I ended up losing 33 pounds at 24. So actually, it was more like 23. Came out of college, started my professional career, was sitting in my living room watching my TV that was sitting on a those plastic tubs. I had no furniture in my apartment whatsoever. All I had was my bed in the one bedroom. Actually, I had a two bedroom because it was cheaper than a one bedroom. Living in the San Francisco Bay Area, bachelor, no friends in the area, just going to work and coming home, not doing anything else, learning the adult life, if you will, expenses, rent, car note, groceries, all the things, right? Growing up, finally, as a young 20 something, all of that. Once one day a P90X commercial pops on, whatever TV I was watching, I was like, I've always wanted to be in shape, and so that started my journey to really getting in the best shape of in my life I had ever been at that point. And I feel that I've hit higher levels of health since then, respectively, now in my 30s. But what I learned within the next 2 years of that time was that fitness and nutrition were key aspects, but there are so many other things in lifestyle that are so important to the quality of health that we have. Now, in the world today, where podcasts and vlogs and YouTubes and all the things that we have today, where information is so much more readily available to us, even more so than 10 years ago, is all the little aspects of lifestyle that are so important. And so you'll hear me talk a lot about sleep and water and stress management and energy production and some of these different things. Well, even more so important, and this one's going to be again encouraged or inspired by a post that I see, is Dr. Mark Hyman, was this 4 days ago, posted about alcohol. And there's been some recent studies out there, and I'm sure I probably just lost, some of you automatically, oh boy, he's going to talk about alcohol. Look, I can tell you this, that if I'm going to talk about it, it's because I've gained some insights that are useful and valuable. And in the case, also studied. And there's even some personal experiences around alcohol that I've seen too that factor into what I'm going to talk about today. But beyond all these things that I've talked about, food and fitness and sleep and stress management and water and some of these other key core factors, is the little things. And two ones that are very prevalent right now are alcohol and tobacco. I'll just give a very brief note to tobacco. about 2 years ago, I was looking for a preventative healthcare physician to do my blood panels and make sure heart, blood pressure, and everything else was looking appropriate. And the gentleman, I don't feel that he hit everything exactly that I need for the preventative markers that are important. So I haven't gone back to him. But one thing he said to me that I wasn't aware of is how tobacco in any form can impact the blood vessels. Let's see, tobacco impact blood vessels. Let's see if I find anything in CBI here really quick. What I'll tell you guys is that I typically will not give you guys anything that doesn't have at least some studies backed to it. So if you're following me on my following me here on the YouTube side of things, I've just flipped over here to the National Laboratory of Medicine, NCBI, and this one in particular is tobacco smoking and vascular biological and function. Maybe that's vascular biological function. Evidence from human studies. Let's see if they have a summary here. Abstracts, usually it's in the last bit. Increasing evidence from human studies indicates that cigarette smoke exposure associates with the pathological state of the vascular endothelium, mainly characterized by reduced vascular nitrate oxide bioavailability due to increased vascular superoxide production. In the present overview, we provide compact evidence on the effects of tobacco cigarette smoke exposure on vascular biology and function in humans, centered on main drivers of adverse cardiovascular effects, including endothelial dysfunction, inflammation, and oxidative stress. Okay, so what does all that mean? What did that all just say? And you can go and look it up for yourself. Just go ahead and put the topic and then put NCBI. Pull up the National Laboratory or National Library of Medicine or the National Center for Biotechnological Information, oftentimes housed on PubMed. And you can find all the data and go and deep dive for yourself. What this is saying, though, is that exposure to or exposure from tobacco cigarette, and when I say all forms of tobacco, so vaping, chewing, etc., the little gums and mints and everything. So literally every form of tobacco, if it's got tobacco in it, I believe this applies. It's just cigarettes are the main source of tobacco that we all know. It has adverse cardiovascular effects. So it messes up your endothelial. It gives dysfunction there. If you know what endothelial is, you can go look that up. I'm just kind of trying to hit ahead here. Overall inflammation, inflamed lungs. If anybody has asthma or has any lung issues, you know what that's like, not fun. Or if you've ever been in an area where there's been fire or smog or a chemical release or whatever you've experienced, inflammation. Now think about living that out on a regular basis, on a regular day-to-day living. Not great, right? Or oxidative stress, which is a very more broad and vast kind of area of science. So we're looking at how the cells are impacted, the health of the cell, and whether it's regenerating properly or if it's degenerating or becoming more dysfunctional, or even mutation, which of course mutated cells translate often to cancer, for example. There is some serious impacts here. So what I found in the studies matched what that doctor told me. All right, enough on that. What I really want to talk about today was alcohol, very specifically because there's been some recent studies that have come out that have said even one drink a week is a good cap, because anything beyond that can have adverse challenges. Well, getting back to Dr. Mark Hyman, who I found out about back in maybe 2013, 2014, he did a collaborative book with Pastor Rick Warren and a couple of other physicians, the Daniel Plan. And they found, well, more recently, they're finding that alcohol contributes to nearly 100,000 cancer cases per year in the United States. So one drink a day can increase or have a 40% higher risk for certain cancers. Those certain cancers, 7 specifically, are, let's see if I can find that list here. was posting this, I believe, on my main page. It might be one of his other ones. And I can show you guys this on my. Did I do that right? Oops, nope. Excuse me. Show this to you guys on my YouTube. I'll grab my camera here too so you guys can see it for those who are tuning in on the Instagram. Where did that go? Cancer warnings. Oh, here it is. Okay. So those 7 cancers, one drink, 40% increase in risk. Breast cancer. Did anybody see that Super Bowl commercial yesterday? They said we're estimating that we'll see maybe 6 million women, I think was it, that was watching. Um, excuse me, if that is an opportunity for women to see the importance of breast cancer. Was it Wanda Sykes was at the end of the commercial talking about early screenings? Ladies, please listen up on this one. In the, I'm not sure if it's Gen X, but definitely in my generation, Gen Y or millennials, breast cancer is, I believe, #1 and probably will continue to be the #1 for Gen Zers as well. And for women, and then I think for men, it's either colon or rectal, which is really interesting because usually they're either together or noted together, which in this case it is. Oh, and I told you guys I would show you this here on Instagram. My apologies there. So you can see this. Probably would be helpful to put the shadow down there. All right, so for the ladies, breast cancer. For the gents, colon and rectal cancer. I think ladies, this might be #2 if it's not thyroid based. But these are the 7 cancers that he was talking about: breast, colon, and rectal, throat, mouth, liver, esophagus. And I just learned how to pronounce this word correctly. Oh gosh, it's not hitting me. I've learned how to pronounce that word incorrectly. And my wife said it looking at me matter of factly, like, what did you just say? And I've always thought that it's pronounced larynx, and that is incorrect. It is pronounced, and yes, you guys are watching me, larynx. Oh gosh, it's so embarrassing, but it's good. You got to learn.
Larynx.
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 Larynx. I've always pronounced that word incorrectly. Larynx. So the larynx, which is a part of the throat cavity, right? So those are the 7 cancers that alcohol is connected to. And we're talking in the context of 1 drink a day gives you a 40% higher risk for those 7. And so there's a lot of little different things that impact us, damaging DNA. Of course, alcohol is an inflammatory, so it can inflame the body, can alter hormones like estrogen, which of course, when you start altering estrogen for ladies, that can start to impact the breast tissue, right? Dissolves carcinogens from other sources like smoking, which I talked about briefly. So there's all these little different things here: heart disease, mental health disease, liver disease, weakened immunity. How many people are sick? How many people around you do you know that are currently sick right now? Flu, RSV, respiratory related stuff. Obviously, COVID's still going around. All of those different things, alcohol can definitely cause some issues. Now, my wife and I, when we went out this weekend to get some snacks and things for the Super Bowl, and I'll probably note this one for those that are on my YouTube. And I'm going to also show you how many studies he links to this too, so you guys see that I'm not just blowing this out my butt. But while we were at Sprouts, it's a health food store in certain locations. I'm not sure if that's all across the country. I know it's in California. I know it's here in Colorado. But we saw Lewis Hamilton's, I guess, non-alcoholic spirits, if you will. I don't know how else to categorize it. But his non-alcoholic drink, I don't believe he drinks. And so it's a bunch of, or it's 2 or 3 different types, kind of similar to how tequila would be. You've got your Blanco, Añejo, and your dark or your light, whichever one it is. And he's got a lot of recipes on his website for mocktails, which is cool. that is becoming more of a thing. People are becoming more okay to not drink, which I think is great. If you are a drinker, by the way, and you've got a friend who's a non-drinker, please don't stress them out by asking them multiple times. If they want to drink, if they say no the first time, I'd highly encourage you to go ahead and respect that, because chances are there's some meaning or some reason behind that no. More times than not, not always, but more times than not, there's probably a very firm reason behind that no, and you'd actually be doing them more support by not asking them again, then asking them. Just a little aside there. I've seen that more times than not be a challenge. But getting back to it, we saw that there, which is cool. But it's really interesting is that even one drink a day may not seem like a lot, but man, it makes the biggest decision. And even looking through some of the comments, like this first comment is, I'm 2.5 years sober, the best decision. And he was suggesting a dry February, of course, in addition to a dry January. There's another guy that says, I'm 38 days sober. So he started at the beginning of the year, lost 6 kilograms, and my body and face look so much more healthier. There are so many different things that alcohol does to our body that now the studies are really coming out and showing it. The little things do count. The little things do count. And one drink a day might not seem like much. You might attempt to do this and find that you aren't able to do so right off the bat. As I've said with anything else, whether it's fitness and nutrition or sleeping or anything else, get a team around you, people who you can share your goals with and say, hey, look, my goal is to X. My goal is to train 3 days a week. My goal is to eat better, get more protein. My goal is to drink less. I drink a drink a day every day. My goal is to reduce that to over half, 3 drinks or 2 drinks. I'm only going to drink on the weekends, 1 drink versus every day through the week. That's not an easy thing to do. Give yourself grace and give yourself a team to back you up. Those 2 things make a huge difference. One other thing that I just want to point out here really quick before I show the citations, another reduction to your risk. Just 1 month alcohol free can lead to lower blood pressure, improved insulin resistance, weight loss, better sleep quality, improved gut health, more energy. Obviously, the cells will be able to regenerate better because they don't have that inflammatory stimulus taking place. Here's all of the citations. I know it's really small text, so you can't see it, but these are all of the clinical studies that he's referenced related to this data that he's referencing. So again, cite those resources, if you will. And even right now, my wife just popped in and said, 5 years sober, check out the no drinking subreddit on Reddit. Oh, yeah, there are so many cool resources online. Baby, if you're still watching, would you mind dropping the name of the app that you use for drinking so that everybody can see that? My wife found this app that was really useful to her as well. It showed, based on the amount of alcohol that was being consumed on a daily or weekly basis, how it contributed to mind and gut and all these other areas. It was an app that was very beneficial for her in her process of now that 5 years sober, which I'm so excited and happy for my wife and the overcome she's had. If you follow her on Instagram at Ollie Lifts, you'll see the kind of training she does now, which would be a lot harder to do. The app is called Stop Drinking, and the icon for the app is someone kicking, ninja kicking a beer bottle. That's right. So yeah, check out the Stop Drinking application. It's great in so many different ways. I've shared it with others. But compared to where she was and where she is now, and the training that she does, it would have been more challenging, I think. And now that she's there, I mean, so many different things here. I'm gonna pin this one as part of this. Can I pin this too? Yeah. So, I can only pin one at a time. Let's go ahead and do this one. But yeah, major congratulations to my wife who's tuning in with us today on her journey. I'm just head over heels excited for her and all the progress she's seen. Excuse me, and all the success she's seen. But I just want to give some light to this particular topic. But although it may not seem like much, it really, really does make a difference in the context of this little thing called alcohol. And again, I understand the social ties that are related to it, so that's why I gave that aside earlier. That if you do have a friend or family member who does say no, please give them the best gift you can, which is saying okay, the best gift of love versus peer pressuring them because you want them to be a part of the social scenario that you're in, whether it's stress relief or party or other. Really encourage you guys in that. And like I said, it is the little things. There are so many little factors that we're finding that really pay attention to this. And I'll just leave this last little note here. In this little thing, what's really interesting for us younger generations is that if we do have any kind of issues around autoimmune or cancer, the younger you are, the more severe and acute it can be, which can very quickly lead to death if there isn't a correction or a challenge. It's very interesting. For some reason, being younger has a correlation to it where that cancer or that autoimmune can be so much more violent and progress so much faster than if you're older in our generations. For example, Tuesdays and Saturdays, I have a small group session called Power and Strength. It's a personal training format dedicated to anywhere between 3 and 12 people. So it's more general. It's not specific or programmed in any way other than to, as I like to say, kick your butt. And there's a couple that's been coming really regularly. And one of their friends, it's a couple that they know, the wife just passed away in her late 30s from an autoimmune. It started with getting sick and it turned into a rash and it inflamed or it caused a response to the autoimmune that she was dealing with. And it was back and forth. And then all of a sudden she was gone. She's got 4 daughters and her husband's like, what am I going to do? Because he's got now 4 daughters and no wife. And they're in their late 30s. And it sounds like it was very sudden, very fast. So for our generations, I say this with all love, all encouragement, not trying to freak any of us out. We gotta be diligent about our health. We can't screw around. I mean, it's already difficult enough with what we face on average with finances and living conditions and education and all the other things that we're dealing with. But now there's all the environmental factors that they're saying, like, for example, testosterone related. I was looking at my testosterone in November and saying, hey, why are our levels as men so much lower than our fathers or even grandfathers, which would be a better correlation or a better comparison. And the response I usually get is environmental factors. All of the stuff that's in our water and our air and our food are causing us to have lower testosterone counts, so much so they've lowered the bar lower than it should be. But that's what we're up against in our generation. So we cannot afford to screw around unless, you're fine with having a short life. I mean, that's up to you. And I'm not saying that anybody should have to aspire to be older. But the goal is not just how long we live, but the quality of the days that we get to live one at a time. I think is what's really important here. And what I hope is being translated in today's Monday Lunch Live is the quality of the health can really determine what our experience is. If you're sick all the time, it's going to be hard to work. It's going to be hard to be present for those that you want to be around and love on and have them love on you. Without your health, relationships and money become very strained. So I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of get into this. I think last week I said something about doing a series, and I might be pivoting here a little bit from that series. So I'll go back and take a look at what I talked about the last couple of weeks to make sure I have some congruency here. But I hope this is valuable. Yes, it's coming off of probably one of the heaviest alcohol use days in the year, that being the Super Bowl yesterday. So if anybody's listening and they're like, oh my gosh, I just took back a ton of alcohol yesterday. There's no condemnation here. I'm not out to get anybody. I'm just here to give you guys the facts and the reality of what our current experience is. and give you guys some encouragement, give you guys some foundational tools and habits you can use to be successful in this thing called health. This is something I've been working at diligently since I was, 2021. So, I mean, this is, 14 years in the making of me learning this stuff and learning how to do better here and get better day in, day out. Is it perfect? No. Do we still have donuts occasionally and other things? Yes, had some yesterday. Cravings for some donuts. That donut shop is not good anymore, so we're not going back. Have to find a different one. But the thing is that we can live, but we can also be intentional. I think that's the thing that's the hardest, is that how do I achieve these results and not get to eat my cake too? You can do both, but there is a series or a time where we need to establish the foundation. So that might mean getting rid of everything or most things initially, so you can get yourself closer to the desired results. And then once you get there, then you can start to incorporate those things in on a very infrequent basis, right? Occasionally versus regularly. And you'll notice the difference. Just like I said with alcohol, if you're doing one a week versus one a day, see if you can get it down to 3 days per week or 2 on the weekends, even better. And over time, you'll see those differences. Like the guy said, I've stopped drinking for 38 days. I've already lost 6 kilos, which is about 13, 14 pounds. And I feel better. My face looks better. Like, you'll see how your skin gets better. You'll see how you feel better. You'll see how you sleep better, because alcohol impacts sleep, for example. You'll notice those differences. So I've been going here for a while. I'm going to wrap it up. When I get on one, I seem to go hard for it. So thanks for those who have bared the course with me here. This has been a solid 26 minutes today. I try not to go more than 20, 25 minutes. So beyond that, today, again, the focus was the little things do count, very specifically in the context of alcohol. I'm sure I'll probably do some more of these in the future, maybe more of a deep dive on tobacco or some other little things that are out there that can have their impacts related to our health. I hope you guys are having a great start to your week. Again, thank you so much to my wife for joining us and giving those 2 very encouraging things. One, celebrating 5+ years of sobriety and sharing with us the no drinking subreddit on Reddit, as well as the app called Stop Drinking with the ninja kicking the beer bottle. And thanks for you guys for bearing with me on this one. This is something that is definitely my call, very important to me. And I literally do this every day. Before this, I was a little late to our start today. I just got off with a client who's dealing with some back stuff. And when I say I know what us younger generations are looking into, I really mean that. I work with people who are 55 plus most of my career. And so I see what they're going through. And my goal is to help us hopefully not have to experience a lot of the things that they're going through. Is it going to happen? For sure? I can't guarantee anything. Nobody can. But we can have a better go at it with them. I'm hanging around all these British speakers too much. Have a better go at it. Americans don't say that. Anyway, we can have a better chance to have lower risk of experiencing a lot of things that our parents, our older brothers and sisters, our older cousins, our grandparents, our aunts and uncles are experiencing. We can have a better chance at having less risk of experiencing those things. That can start with our generation. We can be the ones that can flip the switch and change directions on the current status of our health in this country. But it has to start with us. Otherwise, it's just going to get worse, and it's going to get passed down to our kids. And then they're going to be having to do even more work than the work that we have. So just something to take in mind. Ryan Sanders, Project Fresh. Hope you guys have a phenomenal day, a great week. And we'll be here, right back here again next week, same time, same place, on the 17th for Monday Lunch Live, 12 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Hope you